All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Creative Careers team for this workshop called You Need a Plan, Avoiding the Summer Slumps. My name is Eilish. I am the Associate Director of Career Advising at Art Center. And our goal for this workshop today is to chat through some of the ways that you can make best use of your summer. We know that summer is often a time when students are planning for internships, maybe planning to take a term off if that's something that you're able to do, just to give yourself a little bit of a break. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about how you can make your summer into one that is productive and exciting and makes you feel excited about this upcoming season. So, let's first start ourselves off, right? With this idea that perhaps we expected to have an internship, or we really wanted to have an internship, or maybe we're not yet at the stage where we want to look for internships, but we want to do something with our summer regardless. If this is you and this is the position that you're in, I want to reassure everyone you are not behind. Sometimes it can feel a little bit like when you hear peers have these exciting opportunities, these different things that they're doing, that there's a big tendency to compare and feel like maybe you're not in the right place, but you are exactly where you're meant to be. And the goal of this workshop is to talk about what you can do instead of an internship, either to increase your chances of getting an internship in the future, to explore some other opportunities that might be really exciting, or just to kind of level set and see where you're at and plan for the rest of your time at the college. So, the most important thing here is to remember most students don't have the perfect summer planned or the perfect internship term or period where they expected to be doing something in particular, and perhaps that has not ended up happening. Almost everyone ends up pivoting plans, doing something later than they anticipated, doing something else entirely because maybe it's a better fit for their availability and accessibility. And one of the most important things that I think we can develop as artists during our time in art and design school is that ability to pivot and be flexible and adaptable depending on, what circumstances happen to surround us. And something that can happen, whether it be because we planned something for the summer and maybe it didn't end up working out, or we didn't have any plans for the summer and now we're looking towards a empty summer term, is that we fall into this thing called the summer slump. We have maybe a little bit less structure if we're not taking any classes. We maybe don't have a lot of motivation because we just spent so much energy and effort and creative brain cells getting ourselves through a really, really difficult term. We can feel again like we're getting stuck in this loop of comparison with our peers, saying so and so is doing this or this person is doing that. That's the thing that I wanted to do. And all of it can make us feel really stuck. Stuck like I'm not going to be able to do the things that I wanted to do, or perhaps stuck like I don't know what I should be doing. And really, what I want us to do today is think about this reframe. And I'm going to use the phrase internship specifically, but it may not be an internship for you. This reframe of I didn't get the opportunity, or perhaps I'm not doing exactly what I wanted to be doing, and reframing that into I have 14 weeks to build something powerful. I have 14 weeks to do something exciting that is kind of entirely at my discretion and within my own set of goals. And this reframe, this ability to reframe, not just in this circumstance, but particularly in this circumstance, is a really powerful way to keep yourself adaptable and able to better pivot and be flexible within the circumstances that you're in. And again, these are really important skills for creatives to practice as they move through school and then prepare to graduate into the creative career workforce. So, when we think about employment following graduation, whether you are planning a very specific career trajectory, you are exploring a lot of different opportunities, you are planning to become a creative entrepreneur, or you want to work in-house at a company that you've loved since you were 16, we're all kind of thinking about how to graduate with our best set of skills and resources. And one of the things that prospective employers or perhaps clients or investors or any party that may partake in your creative professional direction following your graduation, they care about a few things that we can really focus on during the summer when maybe we don't have other extensive plans. They care about what you can show, they care about how you think, and they care about what you initiate. Proactive creatives, creatives who are able to demonstrate not just what they did, but how they did it, and creatives that are able to showcase a selective body of work that is directly relevant to, again, that employer, client, investor, etc., are creatives that are better positioning themselves to, for lack of a better term, sell or position themselves for conversations about their professional direction. Again, this could be related to internships that you're interested in. It could be related to employment following graduation, or it could just be more so about positioning yourself to feel really excited and confident about your skill set and your ability to navigate that professional circumstance. So, here are five different ways that you might want to consider using your summer, whether you are taking classes, taking some time off, thinking about how to best position yourself, again, for the remainder of your time at the college, that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth. On the whole, they are learning a new skill, building your portfolio, building your personal brand, potentially tapping into a freelance or creative entrepreneurship practice, and tapping into the opportunities that exist at Art Center as an institution. So we're going to kick ourselves off with learning a skill, right? It can be very, very exciting to be developing all the skill sets that you're developing in your courses at Art Center. But you may also feel like, am I learning everything that I need to know to thrive after I graduate, whatever type of position I'm interested in? And sometimes it can feel like we need to generate all of these different skills. We're not necessarily sure which ones we need to focus on. But what's really important to remember is that one very strong, relevant skill that you have honed or perfected and are able to demonstrate is going to be far more effective in most circumstances than a smattering of 10 random skills that maybe are difficult to demonstrate or you're not able to demonstrate, whether that be through portfolio work or verbally, etc. So, a great way to harness this particular goal or this particular trajectory over the summer is to start by identifying a highly sought after skill that's in your field that you're perhaps not currently learning at Art Center. If you're not sure what this might potentially be, this would be a really great opportunity to do something like an informational interview with a professional in your field to find out what is the biggest skill that they find most important in their day-to-day work. Or maybe what skill do they wish they had learned or had been able to practice and hone before they started their current position. You might also look at posts or thought pieces from recruiting leads that are in your industry who are sharing the skills that they're really looking for and what they are interested in seeing from students that are graduating from programs. This is information that is absolutely available to you, but you also may have an idea based on your experiences at the college thus far of a particular skill that you have not had the ability to work through at Art Center yet, but you're really excited to use. So identify that one highly sought after skill in your field. And this could be a technical skill. It may be a specific kind of software. It may be how your industry is utilizing AI tools. Or it could be an essential skill, something like time management, project management, teamwork, collaboration, leadership, some kind of skill that you are not currently practicing or have the ability to practice at Art Center. And then identify a feasible way for you to learn that skill. And by feasible, I mean something that you can reasonably commit to that is financially accessible to you. I don't mean that you need to sign yourself up for a whole nother course and pay a lot of money to learn a whole different skill at a different institution, but more so look at what is already available to you. For example, your free LinkedIn Learning accounts that are accessible to you as Art Center students, YouTube videos, TED Talks, things like that that are focused on a specific skill, and then think about how much you want to learn of that skill and feasibly how much you can work on it. And then you might want to identify a project or perhaps two projects that you can incorporate this skill into. And again, this might be technical. You might think, okay, I really want to learn Figma because I know that Figma is very much in demand in my field as a graphic designer. And then you might identify a project that you've already worked on or that you would like to work on that you can incorporate Figma into. Alternatively, if you're thinking more about those essential skills like teamwork or leadership, you might identify opportunities that exist for you to practice that skill that maybe would go into a resume or that you could talk about in an interview. So if you are excited to hone and practice leadership skills, you might think about starting a club at Art Center that is of a topic that you're really interested in and that you think might be of value and excitement to the Art Center community. The goal with attaching a particular skill to something that is sought after in your industry and to a project or demonstrable experience that you can talk about is that you are connecting the development of that skill to a long-term goal and outcome that allows you to share, again, in an interview setting, as you are planning to graduate, how you proactively sought out this self-learning experience, and then how you applied it to a specific experience that you have. I think that one of the most important things about, we'll say, professional longevity and navigating the job search, even when it gets difficult, is the ability to consistently stay curious and ask questions and always be excited to learn more. And this is a really great opportunity, again, to start practicing that practice or that strength of seeking out new information and tying it to a demonstrable outcome. Our next area that we can potentially work on is building portfolio work. So going along with our identification of a skill that is perhaps highly sought after in our industry, we might also take a look at our portfolio and ask ourselves, does my portfolio have everything in it that a recruiter, a reviewer, somebody involved in the internship or job search process may be looking for as it relates to a position that I'm interested in? If I want to go into freelance and I want to do a certain type of work, do I have enough experience in my portfolio to showcase clients the type of work that I can do for them? If I want to be an interior designer at a company like Toyota or Hyundai, do I have enough experience on my portfolio to showcase my interior design skills? When we look at our portfolio objectively to see kind of, am I demonstrating these skills that I know that they're looking for, we can also identify perhaps opportunities that we have to build out our portfolio even more effectively than it already is. This could look like developing case studies. Perhaps it's not a full design project, but it's something a little bit more like, I want to explore this research question, this design question, and conduct some research on it to demonstrate how I would tackle this problem. We might decide to work on a passion project. Maybe there is a type of work that you have been really interested in doing for a long time, but school is taking up a lot of your time, as it reasonably will. And so you just haven't had a chance to work on it. This might be the summer that you start working on that passion project. You could take a real life problem, something that you know is currently a big question in the design community or within a unique niche of the design community, and try to tackle that problem proactively and creatively. It doesn't matter if you don't have all of the answers. The fact that you're proactively asking these questions and exploring these things is a really fantastic conversation starter and opportunity for you to showcase yourself in an interview. And you might even get started with something like asking yourself the question, what's something I wish existed? And this could be a really blue sky question, like the sky is the limit, anything goes. Or it could be something that is very, quote unquote, realistic, very attuned to your everyday life, and something that you actively identify as missing. But asking that question, what's something that I wish existed, allows you the space and the opportunity to create, to build, to expand your portfolio, to showcase not only work that might be very, very valuable and sought after in your industry, but also something that you're really excited to work on and that you're excited to talk about. And nothing comes through more clearly in an interview, in a meeting, in a portfolio review, than a student or creative who is excited to talk about their work and feels very strongly about it. This is something that I think we don't often think about all that often. Can I just give myself a project to do? But absolutely you can if it's something that you're interested in working on. So next, we have building up our personal brand, right? Building your personal brand is something that I think a lot of Art Center students don't think about until they get towards the very end of their program. Perhaps you have a class within your major that helps you to build out a LinkedIn profile or business cards or a logo or something along those lines. But I would encourage you, if you haven't thought about it yet, and even if you know it's coming in the future, it is never too early to start building your personal brand. If nobody is seeing your work, right, whether it be on social media, on LinkedIn, via your portfolio, it's not necessarily helping you. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but this is a great time to start building up your personal brand, to start having a process and having a pattern for sharing that work out and developing your creative community. So your personal brand spans a few different things. It's your portfolio website, it's your social media presence, it is your consistent style or voice that shines through a lot of your projects, perhaps not all, depending on where you are in your program, but a consistent style, approach, or process that is really unique to you is all part of your personal brand. And starting to think about how these things tie together and how you can utilize them all consistently to make yourself a, again, unique, kind of personally branded creative is going to set you up very well for preparing to graduate, because you not only are able to answer the question, what's unique about you? What's unique about your skill set? But you also have this really wonderfully created and connected through line for all of your different areas where you can communicate that personal brand and have people understand and make connections between it. You'll notice that we're kind of building on different aspects of goals or strategies that you can use to avoid the summer slumps here. First, we talked about developing a new skill, perhaps utilizing it in a project. Then we talked about building out your portfolio, perhaps adding in a new project, perhaps with that skill that we learned. And now we're talking about building a personal brand. So connecting that portfolio website that maybe you have already created but want to hone, or you haven't had the chance to create yet, with things like your creative social media presence, a resume, a cover letter, and identifying that consistent style and voice that you have. The reason that we're doing it this way is because that scaling and that process is a really, really beneficial way to think about navigating through these many different areas of professional development that are going to be very important for you as creatives moving into maybe the second half of your time at Art Center or preparing to graduate. So next we have tapping in to our freelance practice. Now, can I get a show of hands? You can literally just use the React function if you want to. How many people here have ever thought about freelancing before? Maybe it's something that you know is going to be really common in your industry. Maybe it's something that you are just excited to do. I see one hand. Is there anybody else? Two hands, three hands. Okay, awesome. So a few people here have thought about freelancing. That's amazing. I want to encourage everybody, whether you have thought about it or not, to consider that freelancing may become a common part of your creative practice. It is increasingly becoming common for creatives following their graduation to engage in some kind of freelance or creative entrepreneurship experience, whether it's by choice or partially by necessity. There are quite a lot of industries in which freelancing is the expected way that people work. And there are quite a lot of industries where large opportunity is available, specifically through freelancing practices. And there's even more industries where you can cement yourself as a creative entrepreneur, taking that unique, consistent, brand that we talked about, that unique outlook that we talked about, and applying it to a niche area within your field. So, with it becoming increasingly common, it is really beneficial to get some experience in advance with freelancing, with the basics of creative entrepreneurship, to know both what you can expect and to know where you need to grow. And when I say this, I don't mean put yourself out there to tackle a really large scale freelance project immediately, but more so think, if I were to freelance, what maybe could I do? If I were to freelance, how potentially would I pitch myself? What are some of my target clients who would be interested in the things that I could do or the work that I would want to accomplish? When we're able to start generating answers for some of these questions, we might actually find that there are people that are already part of our creative community, part of our larger network, who might have use for or be interested in our freelance design skills, right? It could be family members, family friends, it could be our peers at Art Center, it could be people that we know in our community, small businesses. These might be folks that are already interested in the skill sets that you have. And if you feel ready, this might be something that you are excited to action on and see, what opportunities are available in the immediate. You might also identify, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I'm not exactly sure who I could do it for. And there are a few parts of the freelancing process that make me a little nervous. Like, I don't know anything about contracts. I don't know how to negotiate. I'm not really sure what my fees and rates should be. And all of those questions and concerns are incredibly valid and very reasonable. This is even more so why it might be helpful to consider or tap into the potential for a freelance practice early on or in advance to identify where you can grow and what you might need to learn. For example, our office has an entire suite of resources for creative entrepreneurs and freelancers to help you identify things like, how do I set my rates? How do I communicate with clients? How do I even get clients if I don't know where to go or who to reach out to? And The more that we start asking ourselves these questions, the more that we maybe practice this in applied ways and then learn and grow from those experiences, the better we are preparing ourselves again for graduation, where these opportunities might become more of a reality. And who knows, you might find that you do a freelance project, even a small scale freelance project, and you love it so much that you see a future of creative entrepreneurship for yourself. And then you get to spend the time and the energy and the opportunity for yourself developing and understanding what creative entrepreneurship looks like for you. Again, preparing yourself well to thrive upon graduation with experience, with knowledge, and knowing what those next steps are. And again, you might start very locally to you, your immediate network. Those are, personal connections, your peers, friends and family. You might do social media outreach. You might contact small businesses in your community that you already know of. Or you might just kind of sit with the questions of what would I do? Who would I do it for? And what would my pitch be? And developing that body of information is still going to be incredibly, incredibly helpful, whether you action on it this summer or not. And finally, tapping into opportunities that happen at the Art Center um, campus community within the Art Center umbrella. You don't need necessarily to be invited. You don't need permission to identify opportunities to grow and develop your skills outside of solely things like internships and other external opportunities. You might consider participating in a design storm or a sponsored studio. You might consider preparing for the mentorship program that the Creative Careers team runs every fall, applications for which will open in a couple of weeks and be running all through the summer. You might identify and attend a couple of career chats so that you can network with professionals within your industry and identify some questions that you would be really excited to ask people. You might even start networking within your department, identifying peers who are excited to work on similar projects to you, peers who have the same goals within your industry. And I don't just mean identifying who your friends are and that you're excited to hang out with them, although that is also very important, and I very much encourage that. But networking within your department to identify maybe as a game design student, who else really loves to design the same type of games that I do? Maybe do we want to think about designing a game together? What would that look like? Is that something that I would be interested in doing? Or can I even just learn from some of their experiences? Maybe you network within your department and you learn that somebody that you would really love to learn more about has interned at a really cool company or studio that you would also love to intern with. And so then you can ask them questions like, hey, how did you get that internship? How did you get connected with that company? You might even think about just largely growing your creative community to practice those verbal and interpersonal communication skills, especially if we feel a little bit nervous about networking as a conception, and a little bit worried about how to do it well. We can practice with our peers and say, I would really love to organize a hangout or a drawing circle or something like that over the summer where we just get to do fun things that make us happy and feel excited and don't come with the stress or the pressure of a course and a project. So keep in mind that your art center community is already full of amazing opportunities, resources, information, experiences that you can tap into that by and large do not cost you any more money, that by and large are designed to help you grow professionally, which can be added to your professional list of experiences and skills and opportunities for you to have developed as a professional. Again, the Creative Careers team is here to support you in all of these five aspects to varying degrees. And we highly, highly, highly encourage you to book an appointment with us or come in and check in about um, all of these topics or one or more of these topics. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. These are just five that I wanted to initially introduce as a great way to kind of take charge of your summer and do something that feels exciting and proactive and fun in addition to supporting our professional development. So, my recommendation is that you pick maybe two or three of these areas. You might find that you really are excited to develop a new skill. You're really excited to put it on your portfolio, and building a personal brand sounds really fun. And so those are your two or three steps already, right? You might find that you have already really identified creative entrepreneurship and freelance work as something that you want to pursue. And so you're like, yes, that's it for me. And then you also want to pursue the mentorship program. You do not have to tackle all five of these in all ways every summer or this upcoming summer. What you should do is pick those two or three that sound the most exciting, the most beneficial for you, the ones that you feel you can commit most to. Identify a little bit of a plan for yourself. So maybe what's the skill going to be that I learn and how am I going to demonstrate it? Or I want to develop a personal brand and here are the areas that I want to focus on. And then by the end of summer, have proof of that growth. And proof can be that you feel more confident communicating your niche, unique, exciting area of your design field. It can be that you know about this unique skill that sets you apart from other designers in your field because you just spent 3 months learning it. It can be that now you feel really confident that all of your social medias or other professional spaces are all really tied well together and in alignment with your personal brand. Or it can be something very specific like a project, like physical or digital assets that you have worked on that you can demonstrate for development of these specific areas. But having that thing that you can rely on or turn to at the end of the summer to say, here's how I grew, here's how I developed, here is what made this summer awesome and fun and exciting and proactive and great for me, is going to not only help you feel more confident, right? But that is the demonstrable experience that you can take into that future interview, that future networking conversation, that moment at grad show where somebody from your dream company is walking by your wall and you have the opportunity to make an impression on them. Because this is a moment where you get to choose how you want to be proactive and how you want to make the most of an experience to set yourself up well for your future creative career. Again, this does not have to be large scale. This can be whatever feels the most feasible and functional for you. And again, we as a team are excited to help you figure it out if you're interested. And again, I want to throw out a reminder before I open the floor to any questions or thoughts today. You are not behind if you're not sure what you want to do for the summer. You are not behind if you thought that you would have an internship and perhaps you don't. You are building yourself. You are building your skills. You are building your portfolio. You are building your professional direction in 100 ways at all times. And this is an opportunity for you to sit back and think, what do I really want to do with this time? How is it going to be the most effective and the most exciting for me to make use of the next 14-ish weeks after I just had a crazy term or after I just came off of a term of a lot of development and growth in one way? What do I want to build next? And when you can answer that question for yourself, and when you can direct yourself based on the answer to that question, you are going to open up huge doors for yourself to, again, develop confidence, develop adaptability, develop proactivity that will help you in every aspect of your career moving forward. So, with that, since I've been speaking a lot, this was a little bit of a short chat today, but I do want to open up the floor to any questions, any thoughts, any concerns that folks have. If you have them, you can unmute yourself. You can drop your question in the chat if you have one. Note that if you unmute yourself, we are recording, so we might grab your question there. But I'm happy to answer any questions or any thoughts that anyone has. And I will leave up here our contact information if you want to get in contact with our office to chat about how to action on any of these things that we talked about, or explore anything more in depth.
Oh,
Yeah. Hi, Claire.
yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
All right. Um, well, I was gonna ask a question if no one else was going to, which is like, how do you keep yourself motivated for these goals that you have throughout the summer?
Yeah.
My reason is, sorry,
No, go
last
ahead.
term I like had a bunch of goals. I was gonna be like, I'm gonna review all of my work. I'm gonna make a great portfolio. I'm gonna do this, that, and this. And I thought I was being like smart with it because I was just like, let's just do two or three things. But I only ended up getting to like one or two of them at the end of it, like art center opportunities and like a few like pieces that I was like, okay, this got me some followers. This is all right. But
Yeah.
like the largest thing was that I really wanted to do, I didn't get to it. So it's just like, how do you keep yourself like motivated every day?
Yeah, this is a really great question. So I think that there is two parts to this answer. The first is we don't necessarily need to give ourselves 10 goals. Sometimes when we have 10 goals, and especially when they're big, like I'm gonna revamp my whole portfolio, I'm gonna do this whole big thing, it's that thing that seems like one goal is actually like 10 very small goals stacked on top of each other, right? So rather than thinking, I'm going to set all of these incredible goals for myself and I'm going to focus on staying motivated to accomplish all of them, that might be the reason why we scale back and we pick two or three, and two or three that are feasible, right? Like we really take a moment to look at our schedule, give ourselves permission to not be like always on and always moving forward, and say, how much time can I reasonably devote to each of these goals, maybe per day or per week? Not what do I want to do if I were superhuman and never had to do anything else, but what can I reasonably commit to for each of these goals? And then kind of create a SMART goal around that amount of time, the goal, what you want to end up with. So that's kind of the first part of that question. And I don't say that to suggest that you shouldn't have a lot of goals and you shouldn't work towards all of them. But sometimes when we have so many, right, it can feel demotivating to not reach all of those goals. So if we set fewer exciting goals for ourselves, but ones that we really want to work towards, that can actually be even more motivating, because we're checking off the boxes, so to speak, more consistently. The second part of this, though, is the intrinsic motivation piece, which can be really, really difficult when we're in that kind of lack of structure piece of the slump that I talked about earlier, right? When we don't have the structure of somebody telling us this is due on this day and this is due on that day, when we're very self-directed, it can be really hard to develop motivation. So I'm going to encourage you to honestly create that structure for yourself. Sometimes for some people, that looks like giving themselves a class, right? Like I go to my life drawing class from 2 to 7 on Tuesdays. Okay, I don't have a life drawing class this summer, but from 2 to 7 on Tuesdays, that's going to be my networking time. And I don't know specifically what I'll do every day or every Tuesday, but that's going to be my networking time. And Fridays from 8 to 12:50, that's going to be my portfolio development time. And I'm kind of assigning myself that class. You might even say, I'm going to devote 2 hours every day to these goals, 1 hour each. And then at the end of the week, I will have worked on each of them for about 5 hours or so. It really depends on your time and your availability and how much structure you benefit from. Something else that can be really helpful, though, is doing it with a group. Having friends who you can rely on to say, hey, we're going to do this. We're all going to meet up. We're going to go to the library or we're going to go to the park and we're going to work on some portfolio pieces. We're going to find a drawing circle that's in LA that we can do some kind of casual networking at. And we're all going to go, and it's going to be really fun because we get to hang out with friends, but it's also going to kind of keep us a little bit accountable to committing to this thing or seeing through this thing that we committed to. So, finding that intrinsic motivation is going to depend on what motivates you. Is it the structure? Is it the accountability? Is it a reward of I can get myself an ice cream after I do some edits on this project that I do? Um, but identifying what that intrinsic motivation is going to be really effective. I hope that that gives you some suggestions. Um, it is really super dependent on the person. And if you would like to come in and have a chat with somebody from my team to talk more specifically about it, we would love to come up with some very specific to you suggestions. But please note that I do know that it is difficult to find that motivation and that both paring down and also uh, creating that structure for yourself is going to be really, really beneficial. Great
Oh,
question.
thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a question in the chat. Will any workshops such as life drawing be available during the summer? This is a great question. It's not one that's governed by my department. Um, I believe that the departments, the academic departments, are the ones who determine what is offered on a kind of technical design basis over the course of the summer. So they would be the right folks to reach out to answer that question. But I would recommend keeping an eye out for workshops, development opportunities, networking opportunities, and career chats from our team, which is what we kind of work through. Because we do like to host a lot of those over the summer and create a lot of professional development opportunity for people there. That's a great question. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns?
I had a small, maybe this is more personal question about the
Yeah,
mentorships.
yeah.
Um, my graduation date is kind of up in the air right now. I don't know if I'm going to be graduating next summer or next fall. But I was
Okay.
wondering, despite that, like, could I still apply for a mentorship? Like, maybe I finished in the summer. Would I still be eligible for applying?
We do require that everybody who participates in the mentorship program be a enrolled student. And enrolled doesn't have to mean that you're taking courses that term. It just means that you can't have already graduated. So if you will be graduating in a summer, you won't be eligible for the mentorship program in the fall of that year.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you are interested in mentorship, the formal Creative Careers mentorship program is not the only way that you can find a mentor. It's a way, but it's not the only way. And if timeline wise that program doesn't work for you, we would be happy to talk with you about finding a mentor and kind of designing your own mentorship program independently, because that's absolutely something that we're really excited for students to do and something that I think you can do really, really effectively. Again, it's a little bit about creating a structure for yourself and finding those goals and SMART goals that you want to work towards, but it's totally possible and something that we really support. If the formal mentorship program it doesn't work for any one of the many reasons that it might not be a good fit for a particular student.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
if if you are not, so you're tentatively graduating either summer 2026 or fall 2026, right?
Yes,
Got it.
but it was a little up in the air because I will not have like made a grad roll or like walked across, like received my diploma
Yeah,
until fall 2026 either way.
got it.
I'm talking to my advisors about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it's up in the air because I have not done those things yet.
Yeah, no worries. So, what I would recommend in this case, your advisors will be able to give you specific advice on like the cadence and timing chronology of what makes the most sense for you. The application for the mentorship program for this upcoming fall will be open until summer week 5. So, a considerable amount of the way through the summer term. And, we really want students to pay strong attention to the application, but it's not a particularly lengthy one. So if over the next couple of weeks you define when your formal graduation will be, if that's something that you're able to do, um, I would say apply for the program. There will definitely be time for you to complete an application and submit it before week 5 of summer, or identify that maybe summer makes the most sense to graduate and thus schedule an appointment with somebody from our team to talk about finding that independent mentorship experience, that more kind of self-directed mentorship experience, because it's absolutely possible and is something that we would be happy to kind of help you hone and figure out.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay, we got another question about the mentorship program, which is great. I'm excited. How is the mentorship program structured? Is it based on majors? So, the mentorship program is an annual application based program that runs for 10 weeks during the fall term. So, you complete an application, we review applications and admit a selected number of students into the program every year. I will say, not everybody who applies gets in. So, it's important to create a really strong application. And as part of your application, you are going to submit to us a list of ideal mentors, um, traits of a mentor, companies that your mentor would be at, types of positions your mentor would be in. Based on that information, for every student that's accepted, we work to match you with a mentor. Some of these are individual mentorships, like one-to-one. Some of them are kind of a mix of group mentorship to one-on-one mentorship. But we do all of the matching process. And that's based on the availability of interested mentors any given year, as well as the students who are chosen from the applicant pool. The expectation is that over the course of the 10 weeks in the program, you meet with your mentor for about an hour a week. This can be in person, online, via email, over the phone. We really want it to be a flexible program because we know that some folks just, the schedules don't exactly line up one week, and that's okay. But there is an expectation that you are working with your mentor about an hour a week towards a series of goals that you identify and communicate to them at the beginning of the program. And then at the end, we have a little celebration. We thank everybody for their time. It's nice and fun. And then we close out the program at the end of the fall term. It's a really, really wonderful program. It's one of my favorite things that we do every year. I also encourage everybody to be really mindful and aware of all of the touch points of the mentorship program, because in addition to, meeting with your mentor and things like that, we also have an onboarding and an offboarding. We have check-ins that you have to complete, basically just to make sure that things are going the way that you want to. And those are all required to participate in the program. And we know that, life gets really busy, but if those are things that a student is maybe not able to commit to, or they're really busy, they don't have time, again, that would be an opportunity where we encourage you to come chat with us about an independent mentorship, where that structure of the program maybe isn't something that is required of you. Regardless, we are huge proponents of mentorship and the benefits of building that creative community as a whole department. And we would love to talk with you about mentorship in whatever way it fits best for you. That was a great question. Keep an eye out in your emails starting week 12-ish of this term for more information about the mentorship program application, a direct link to it. You will all be getting emails about this starting in week 12 when the application's open. All right. Any last questions or thoughts? in our last couple minutes together today? All right, wonderful. Well, thanks everybody so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking your time to come in and chat. I hope that this was helpful. A recording of it will be available on our YouTube channel very shortly. And I'm also going to send a little kind of PDF guide for getting started with a couple of these goals, kind of charting out, planning your next steps that will come in a follow-up email later this week. Keep an eye out for that with a link to the YouTube recording as well. If you would like to chat with my team more in depth, we would love to hear from you. Feel free to schedule an advising appointment anytime. You can do so on our website. And I look forward to seeing you all around campus sometime soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.